The other day, actually, I was showing my kids your FIBA coaching tutorial about a smaller player guarding a post player. I'm not sure if you remember that.
Oh, I think I did that was that up in Cairns or something?
Possible. I don't know where the exact location, but it's still on the FIBA channel. So when I was looking for...
Is it really? I probably made that up on the spot, so hopefully it wasn't rubbish.
One thing stuck with me is that you proactively advised the guy to go guard him up top. Your philosophy was kind of push him out of that two-step zone where he can just drop step you and go layup.
Yeah.
You get him, so he had to dribble so that there's a chance your teammate can come double team for you and he have to pass the ball out, or he's going to makes it harder for him to post you up. So that really stuck out with me.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm glad I had something useful to say.
I think there's actually a few videos of you teaching as well. So
I've never seen them. I'd probably cringe at myself.
No, actually, it's really good. I'll send you the links if you can't find it. But
no, I don't want to watch myself because it would be embarrassing.
Good morning and welcome back to the Kiwihooper podcast. It's an honor to have another Kiwi basketball legend in our podcast. He needs no introduction. Paul Henare, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, David. Looking forward to our chat.
Here's what another Kiwi legend, Phil Jone, said about you. Ultimate competitor with heart of a lion, best teammate and someone that I admire, and I'm proud to call a friend. We battled it out in opposing teams while we playing in NZNBL, but he was the guy that had your back the most in the back singlet. Now I want to know, who's that one person always had your back while you're wearing the Tall Blacks jersey, apart from Phil?
Apart from Phil, man. Well, I mean, first of all, that's pretty cool hearing that from such a legend of our game. And like my time with the Tall Blacks and, you know, being alongside Phil Jones, like we spend so much time together, you know, when you're on the road and touring around all over the world and spending so much time together, you build some really strong bonds. But really cool to hear that from him. For me, it would have to be big bro Piero Cameron. When I still remember to this day, like when I first started coming to the first Tall Blacks trials and training camps, he always looked out for me. Maybe it goes back to our days when we were playing together at the Auckland Stars, or Auckland Rebels, I think we were in the late 90s. I still remember at practices, you know, he loved setting back screens on us point guards that were playing defense up the court. And when we're on opposite teams, and he was on the opposite team, he would be setting the screen, but he would give me like a little verbal warning, like, watch out, bro, watch out. And I was like, all right, cool. Appreciate that. Like, I knew he had my back, even though we were competing against each other at practice. He didn't want to deliver that blow that so many point guards got on that back screen up the court.
Amazing. Obviously, he's a great coach, and you are a world-class coach and have a very high basketball IQ. How did young Paulie pick up his basketball IQ?
Honestly, I go back to like all the great coaches that I had throughout my time. You know, starting back as a youngster, I still remember going to the, you know, Hawks used to run the holiday basketball programs in Napier, and I would go along there and, you know, learn from Curtis Wooten and some of the Hawks players that were there around that time. Keith Meir came to Hawke's Bay, so I got coached by him there, and then the national team as well. Tab Baldwin, Nenad Vucinic, Sean Dennis, Andre Lamanis. So, I mean, all those guys there, like, just have had amazing careers in their own rights. So, you know, I also got to work alongside Dean Vickerman for 3 years at the Breakers. So, very fortunate to work along so many really, really, really good coaches. So you pick a thing or two up along the way.
Pick one advice that you have to give from one of the coaches that you got. What advice would that be?
Two things stand out, not really to do with coaching. One from Nenad Vucinic. I was thinking about retiring. I was in my mid-20s, and my body was struggling a little bit, and I was, I think it was during one of these long Tall Blacks tours that we were on, and I said to him, I think I'm done. And he was like, what are you talking about? He was like, retirement is a really, really long time when it comes to playing. So that kind of stuck with me. Not that I ended up having a really long playing career. I retired at 32, but that sticks out for me. And I remember Aaron Fearn, when I first started coaching, you know, I used to get like frustrated quite a lot, like when I've been coaching during games and practices, and he said to me that you'll get frustrated because you'll feel like your players never played as hard as what you did. And that kind of always stuck with me as well, and sort of helped me deal with a few things.
From coaching youth basketball, I can totally resonate from that. Even though I'm
Yeah.
nowhere near where your level was, but
Yeah.
as somebody that passionate about basketball, I guess a competitor, and I really appreciate what you said just now, because you can't expect all the kids to play as good as you. You and I have more than like 20, 30 years experience playing on the basketball court, and I can't expect someone that just picked up basketball to
100%.
be, as good as us. So what is your non-negotiable as a coach?
100% effort, 100% of the time, like when it's required. Now that I'm, working alongside Mori Mayo, here in Nagasaki, or here in Japan, is one of his non-negotiables, and I think it goes a long way. You can have all these schemes, defenses and tactics and offenses and sets, but if you're not going about it the right way with 100% effort 100% of the time, then you're not gonna reach the potential of the individual or as a team. So yeah, very big believer in when it's time to work, it's time to work. Obviously there's days when you'll have a shoot around or a light practice, and you just need the guys to be locked in. So it's not about the effort, but it's about 100% focus and concentration and communication. So whatever it is that you're doing on the practice floor, you do it at 100% of the time.
Absolutely right. It's funny how you mentioned Coach Modi, because that was my second question that I was going to ask you. So you have been the head coach for a long time, and this season you are taking on an assistant coaching role. What is the main drive for you to take on this new role?
The conversation really just came up. I was off contract in Shimane, my old club. I'd been there for 4 years and was starting to look for a job or an opportunity. And we sat down, we're having a coffee, and he explained this role that he was creating for Nagasaki. And he was, I was talking to him about, guys that might be available and anyone I can think of. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like, well, I'm going to be looking for a job. And he was like, well, I mean, if you want it, it's yours. And it just kind of went from there. And for me, once I found out a little bit more about the role, once I found out, did a little bit of research on the club, and the facilities that we have in Nagasaki are like world class, like brand new stadium, brand new practice facility, everything you can kind of think of that an NBA team might have, maybe apart from the personal chef. We have, and it's a great high performance environment to be around. And obviously, watching Modi from afar when he was with the Breakers, and then coaching against them in Nagasaki, like I knew this dude was legit as a coach. And I thought, what an amazing opportunity to go and learn alongside another great coach, and obviously, hopefully bring something to the table in terms of helping him and the team achieve some success as well.
Amazing to hear. Beyond the language barrier, how do you translate complex basketball philosophy and your own coaching personality across a significant culture divide? What is a specific coaching loss in translation moment that taught you a better way to communicate with your players?
Yeah, man, that's a really good question. This is my 7th year in Japan, and I'll never forget my first film meeting with my team back in the 2nd division in Kagawa. And I think I had planned for just a quick one before practice, maybe 15 minutes, and it ended up going for 30 minutes because I hadn't allowed for the translation side of things. And one of the things that I learned along the way in terms of the communication is that when you're speaking with passion or aggression or frustration or something, it's very hard for the translator to actually convey that message in the same way. And so a lot of that feeling is going to get lost. I mean, obviously, humans, we can read body language, and you can read frustration and happiness and things like that. So I had to try and get more specific with the words that I would use, and the way that I would deliver it. Still working on that, not perfect. But when you're working through a translator, a lot will get lost. So you have to be very specific in terms of the messaging that you want to get across. And you have to be very, very clear. Like Japanese players in particular, they want to know the exact right thing to do at the exact right time. In basketball, it doesn't always work like that. Basketball is played in the gray area quite a lot. And so sometimes the frustrations of, telling a player like, go from point A to point B, but there's a couple of different ways that you can get there outside of the team rules. And once you start talking down that, there's some complications. So yeah, there's a lot of challenges, but definitely fun. And for sure, I feel like I'm a much better coach than before I arrived in Japan, just through the nature of learning how to communicate in a different way.
Amazing. Have you seen a famous Japanese basketball player, Yuki Kawamura, play in person?
Yeah. Coached against him a few times. Great young talent. When he's been playing in the first division here since he was 18 years old, since he was in university. He finished his university year and then joined Yokohama and play, and so I got to coach and play against him. And this guy was running teams as a youngster, and you could see the talent there, the capability. So really happy to see how his career has really taken off, and what he's doing with the national team, and he's going to be around. He's going to be the face of basketball for Japan for a long time.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that point. Japan, from watching all the high school competition and things like that, I found that they're very disciplined. They fit really well into a system. They always have a very disciplinary system. Everybody know their roles and follow through. Everybody do the same drill. Nobody's like, even the bigs doing the gas drill and things like that. Do you feel like in the professional level, they're very similar?
Yeah, very much so. I think it's kind of in a way connected to what I was saying about not being able to play outside the grey area. Like they're very much a drill orientated people in terms of when it comes to basketball, and so it's not everybody, but for the most part, they want to follow specific instructions, and when you have to go outside of that, that's when some of the confusion can come. So I think you look around the league now. Like last year, there were 24 first division teams, and there are 13 foreign coaches. I think the influence of coaches from all around the world, New Zealand, Australia, America, Europe, it's I think it's helping the game of basketball because it's teaching their players a different way to communicate, a different way to play, a different way to look at the game, and a lot of the Japanese talent are getting exposed to different styles of coaching, which I think is good for them.
Amazing. Now, going back to your playing days, what are your favorite memories of the Olympic Games or the World Championships?
Oh man. Whew. First Olympics 25 years ago now, man. It seems like such a, the year 2000. But I'll never forget just the whole experience, from, walking into the warehouse when we would get our gear, the team Olympic gear, and the amount of stuff that we would get, the 24-hour food hall that's open, the vending machines around the village where you can just like tap and go, or just an amazing experience. The opening and closing ceremonies, and what a spectacle and event that was. Just really cool to be a part of. You grow up watching the Olympics, and I can't even say that I wanted to be an Olympian as a kid. I don't know if I ever had that kind of dream, but it just happened. So very lucky to be a part of that. And then obviously the world champs, the run that we had in 2002 was really special to be a part of, especially looking or coming back home and understanding like what an impact we had on New Zealand as a country. Like we had no idea really about like how big we were on the news, and how much everyone was getting in behind and watching the games and all that sort of stuff. It was really cool. So, being able to be a part of that was really cool.
I think that really kicked off the popularity of basketball in New Zealand at the time. I think I was watching the game in school at the time as well. I just, remembering with all my, because I went to a boarding school, and all my friends and schoolmates were cheering for those games. We were just sticking
Oh,
to the
wow.
TV and
Amazing.
watching it. So
Yeah.
that really deeply ingrained in my head as well. And just by listening to
Yeah.
that story, I'm just having chills right now. So
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
amazing.
I was honestly like, I was very lucky in a lot of ways. Like just the timing of that era, I guess. Like the 2000 Olympics, we qualified basically because Aussie were hosting and they had automatic entry. So, we had to beat Guam and Samoa, I think, to qualify. So it was like, oh, that was like a given.
Yeah.
And then the next year we beat Australia for the first time in a series. We beat them 2-1, the Wellington, Mystery Creek and North Shore Event Centre series. And that qualified us for the next World Champs in 2002. Then we had the magical run. And at that time, the Olympic qualification process was a lot different. I think out of the 12 teams, I think it was like the top 5 teams from the previous World Cup automatically qualified. So us finishing 4th actually punched the ticket to Athens as well. And that's how we got to Athens. And so, because we ended up losing the series, I think, to Aussie in 2003 or 2004, can't really remember, but it was basically a dead rubber in terms of Olympic qualification. So that's why both of us were there in 2004. And so after that, the rules got changed, and since then we've never been back to the Olympics. And so I use the word luck. No disrespect to the time or anything, but like just it was a lucky, fortunate time that I was able to be playing and experiencing the things that we got to experience around that time. It was awesome.
Yeah, well, you guys definitely punch above your weight, and you guys did so well in the tournament. That's no doubt. And how do you feel about right now having so many under 17, under 19 players that playing college basketball right now?
Man, yeah.
What are you feeling about that? What's the future of New Zealand basketball looking like with them?
I mean, from watching the under 17s and the under 19s, the way that they're competing and performing on the world stage already, and placing really well at world tournaments. Watching these kids do their thing, like the amount of talent that we have at the moment is just amazing. I'll forget names, but Jackson Ball, got to mention Jackson because he's from my old high school. Oscar Goodman,
yep.
Who's Taranaki boy and doing his thing over there. Just been watching this kid Jackson Kiss. He looks like he's really doing his thing over in the States, and I'm gonna forget a lot more of Phil's son.
Yep. Hayden,
like I literally knew this kid as a baby. Like used to hold him as a baby, and so seeing him and what he's doing now is just like, man, this is so cool. Yeah. Piero's boys, Flynn and Tobias, is just like there's just so much talent. There's so much talent, and it's really cool to see. And I think New Zealand basketball is in a really good place.
100% agree with that. So obviously we all know you and Kevin Braswell's relationship are very tight, and we heard a lot of story about how great of a person and how great of a teammate he is. But I just want to know, what is one thing that he did for you that made you go, okay, that's my brother for life?
Oh man, geez, I have to try not to get it too emotional because that was a really tough time going through that at the start of this year. I mean, honestly, it kind of started really early. Like when he first came to the Breakers, we kind of joke about it, but like when he was in the locker room, because he had this big flat nose, and I said to him, I was like, bro, you got Samoan in you? Or he was like, no, I'm not Samoan. I was like, oh, really? I was like, oh, you come across as a bit of a Samoan. And, it was just kind of like the type of humor that we had, like in the locker room, and then we would hang out and then just competing every day. Like, I don't know if there's any sort of moment, but for sure we were brothers, and losing him this year was just devastating. Like literally the night before he had his heart attack, I was on the phone with him because we had a weekend off and we were going to meet in Hiroshima. We were going to go out for dinner, play some golf and hang out. Like the hotels are booked. I was going to pick him up from the train station and we are going to go kick it for the weekend because we'd been in the same country and we'd caught up like when we played against each other, but not like for, like a significant amount of time other than just, dinner after a game or something like that and a couple of drinks. So, I wake up the next morning to Grace saying that he's in the hospital and he's had a heart attack. It was crazy, but yeah, we miss him every day. But just such a legend. And, when he passed, speaking of young basketballers, like the amount of kids that he impacted in his time in New Zealand was unreal. Like it didn't sort of really pay attention until he was gone. Like the time he spent down in Southland, when he was working for North Harbour Basketball, like, Tane Murray, he spent so much time with Tane Murray and, I mean, a lot of kids just working him out, extra workouts, individual sessions, coaching him and doing his thing. He, he was only around New Zealand and on this planet for too short of a time, but, he really made an impact, that's for sure.
It's such a great story when his team still win the championship after he passed. And it's just so good to hear. And also shout out to Isaac Fotu too. So it's amazing.
Yeah. Isaac and Zico. Coronel was there and he took over and has taken over from him this year as well. But, the way that his team honored him was just amazing. The players, the staff, the organization, like I'm not sure if people back home were aware, but like every single game they had a photo of KB on the coach's chair on the bench for every game. Like he was there with them the whole way. And I thought Zico did an amazing job. Like what a tough situation to be put in, right? Like, yep. When a coach and a great friend of his, they were super close as well, passes away, and you have to kind of carry on, and do a job. And thought Zico did an outstanding job, not just with the basketball, but in terms of honoring KB, Grayson, Harlow and Hendricks. Just amazing. Like his speech after they won it was really cool. Really proud of Zico for what he was able to do there.
Incredible story. You dealt with something that no parents should be dealt with in their life. Your son had a horrific accident. How did you deal with this challenge?
That was a tough time. I remember getting the call from Jackson's mother. We'd broken up, and I was in Auckland. They were in Hawke's Bay, and she was just distraught. I think they were in the ambulance after the accident on the way to the hospital, and I just broke down. Because Jackson's mum was saying that he's basically going to lose his leg. So I thought it was just I could only imagine how horrific that was for Jackson and everyone there witnessing it as well. So I remember just going to the airport. I think I got on the very last flight, like I was in tears and just pleading for them to allow me to get down to Hawke's Bay because they were going to hold off on the helicopter transfer from Hawke's Bay Hospital down to Wellington. They were going to wait for me. They wanted me to fly with them. And so I got there. My mum picked me up from the airport. We drove straight out to Hastings. And then basically I saw Jackson. We jumped in the helicopter, went straight down to Wellington, all in the space of a few hours. So, that was tough, man. That was tough. You never want any harm to come the way of your children. And when it does, it's really tough to see. But he was an absolute trooper. He was 5 years old, I think, at the time. And I can't remember the time frame of which he bounced back, but he came and visited. Like, I obviously came back to the Breakers, and the season was in full swing, and he came up to stay with us in Auckland. And so basically he ended up losing, like, if that's his foot, he lost like half his foot, scarring all up his calf. But thankfully they didn't amputate below his knee. But it kind of sounds funny, but like there was a basketball clinic on at Atlas Place, and this little 5-year-old, he just had this horrific accident like months before. With this sock covering his leg, was like literally running around the court with the kids during this basketball clinic. No no prosthetic at that time yet, just like this kind of little stump that he was running around on. It was like, it was a little bit funny, a little bit cute, but I was just like, man, what a champion. Like, I think if it happened to, well, it does, like for me, if it happened to me as an adult, like I think I would have been like an absolute mess, I would think my life is over. But here's my son running around and having a great old time, and like nothing's ever happened. So yeah,
That's incredible.
tough time, but he found he fought his way through that, and just an absolute champ.
Well, there's definitely a hint of he's got that from someone in the family, so it's amazing to hear. Obviously, you guys actually shared a really cool experience in meeting David Beckham. What was that like?
Yeah, that's right. Man, it was cool. I don't know. I think I was definitely more excited than what Jackson was, because before Jackson's accident, he was playing soccer, and I don't even know if he knew who David Beckham was, but LA Galaxy came to town, and I think it was through somebody in the media that kind of knew about Jackson's story and that he liked soccer, and sort of said, "Oh, you guys want to meet David Beckham?" And I was like, "Hell yeah! I don't care what Jackson says." But man, he was cool. Like, so they had their practice. I think it was at Mount Smart. I can't really remember. It was a long time ago. They had their practice, and then we were told just to wait in the locker room, and that David will come and meet us. And so me and Jackson was sitting back there, and actually Dylan Boucher's son, Jaden Boucher, was there as well. Like once they knew what we're doing, it was like, oh, come on, bring the young fella along. And we were just sitting there. David comes in, shakes our hand, meets the boys, like literally takes the shirt off his back that he was wearing at practice and gives it to Jackson. We had an LA Galaxy soccer ball, got that signed. My wife actually just recently got those things put together to give to Jackson for his 21st birthday. Wow. Because I don't think he really sort of understood or knew how big of a moment that was. But yeah, super nice dude. Yeah, really humble. Photos, quick chat. And the thing that I really liked, like whether he thought it was annoying or, like he hit it well. He hit it well, even if he did feel that way. But I actually would like to think that he was genuine in his, when he was talking to Jackson and talking to us and, taking photos and everything. Just, really, really nice, humble guy.
That's amazing. So did you get starstruck?
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. I've got a photo somewhere, but it's like one of those moments like, man, I got to shake David Beckham's hand and sit in the locker room with him and get a photo taken. Yeah. Like when it comes to, famous people in the world, like he's right up there, right?
Oh, 100%. Soccer is one of the biggest sports in the world.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
absolutely. It's amazing. That's a great experience. What was one player that you might have heard about, but about your perception of him change once you met him in person?
One of the most what the heck moments I've ever had was when we first played against Yao Ming,
right?
In China. Yeah. Like just seeing this giant human like play basketball and like dunk all over us, but not just that, like this dude was a baller. Like he could shoot, he could move, he could, like, it was just at that time, seeing a dude 7'5", 7'6", or whatever he is, running around a basketball court and just absolutely dominating. It was just like, well, this isn't fair. Like, what is this? This is, we've got Pierre Kerman at 6'6", trying to guard him, like pushing him at his waist and, trying to do the best we can. I think, like some sort of crazy matchups, Tony Rampton, I think Dylan Boucher might have guarded him at some point. Like, it was like, this is just ridiculous. That was probably him and Dirk Nowitzki were two players that we played against that I'm just like, well, this is like, we literally can't do anything. Like with Dirk Nowitzki, it was like you put someone of similar size and he was too quick for our bigs. You just drive right past him and score. Or we'd put, Dylan Boucher on him, or, someone smaller that could, keep up speed-wise, and then he'd just literally turn around and shoot it over them like they weren't there. And it was just a guy that we literally, your defense with him is just like hope for the best. Really, like literally, you can have a body in front of him or do your best in terms of schemes. But seeing a guy that tall, that skilled, and that can shoot like that, was like, man, this is impossible.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And I love the story where Dylan shared with me when he played against him. He finally irritated the crap out of him, and he managed to get him to push him on the ground.
Oh, Yao
Remember
Ming?
that story?
Yeah. I think that was at the 2004 Olympics. That was funny.
Yep.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, it was an
That was a funny
incredible
moment.
story.
I have a cool Dirk Nowitzki moment after the 2002 World Champs. Actually, we finished our last game. We lost, unfortunately, to Germany. But we're back at the hotel. We're having a few drinks, and we step out. I think all the families are there. Like, it was just a really cool vibe night. We go into this place, and the German national team's there. And Dirk comes up to us like, man, you guys got to teach me the haka. And so we're in this pub or bar or somewhere in the middle of Indianapolis teaching Dirk Nowitzki the haka. By the end of the night, he's got a New Zealand Tall Blacks polo shirt on, New Zealand flag. We're walking back to the hotel down the street, and he's doing the haka. And we go to our, I think all the teams, the nations had like their own floor. And so we went up to our floor, and Sean Marks is in bed at this time. And Dirk Nowitzki just opens the door. We're like, hey, Sean, what's up? And Dirk Nowitzki just sprints in and jumps on Sean Marks on his bed. And security comes and, removes him from our floor. It's just like, wow, this guy's just like, oh, he's just like a big kid.
That is crazy. Wow. I don't think I've ever heard that story anywhere. That's amazing.
Yeah, no, I haven't shared that story publicly before, I don't think. And no harm, no foul. That was it was all in good fun for sure.
That's amazing. Next time if I see Sean Marks, I'm going to mention that story to him. That's awesome. Awesome. So a little bit of personal question as well. What is a fear that you have overcome, and how did you do it?
Probably one of the biggest fears I have, or biggest concerns with what I do with my life is I'm doing this job that I really love, but it's in Japan and it's away from my family. My wife and kids are in Hawke's Bay in New Zealand going to school, and I spend a lot of time and have spent a lot of time away from my family and all four of my kids. And there are many times where it's just like, man, what are you doing? Like, why am I here? Like, am I doing the right thing? And it's like, all right, I can go home. And it's like, but I really like being a coach. So I can't be a coach at home because there's like literally one job in New Zealand coaching basketball. The Breakers, and I've had that job, and probably wouldn't go back. I mean, they're in a really good place with the coaches they got there now anyway. So it's like, or could I go to the Australian NBL and maybe coach one of those teams? But then again, like, I'm still going to be away from home. So maybe not a fear, but just like a constant internal battle for sure.
It's like a huge sacrifice you made if you becoming a world-class coach and high demand and pretty much can get jobs anywhere. But obviously with New Zealand, hopefully one day we're going to have enough teams for you to go back to coach and actually make it more make sense financially as well. Because, the funding that we have for basketball in New Zealand, we only get like 500K a year. That's every time I mentioned that in America to other coaches and people, they were all stunned. They were like, this is like a couple of our months budget. It's incredible. Yeah. Hopefully one day.
When I talk to coaches and people over here in Japan, locals and foreigners, and they ask me like why I come over here, I was like, well, when I was in New Zealand, I was working 2 or 3 jobs a year. I had the Tall Blacks job. I was doing New Zealand NBL. I had Breakers commitments, like, for that period of time that I was coaching.
Mm-hmm.
But I was kind of working 12 months a year.
Wow.
For really not that much reward. And that's not a complaint. It's just, it is what it is.
It's the way it is. Yes.
But now this, I guess, lifestyle that I have now, I work for, I'm away for 9.5 months a year. 10 months a year, but I do get to have 2 months where I'm just home, and I'm home being dad and husband and doing school drop-offs and driving lessons and sports runs and things like that. Whereas before, for such a long time, I wasn't really present at all. And so, always that trying to find that balance,
Huge sacrifices, definitely. I know we talked about this, but you don't really have much free times. But when you do have some free times, what do you normally do in Japan?
Wow. Yeah, not much really. There's not, like, we're in a 60-game season. We're in Kawasaki right now. I'm sitting in a hotel room in Kawasaki. We've got what day is it today? It's Friday. We just played we played last Saturday, Sunday. Then we played Wednesday. We're going to play Saturday, Sunday again, and Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday for the next 2 weeks. Like, the next 2 weeks, we have 8 games in 2 weeks, and then there's the FIBA break. And so we are going to get some time off, and I'm going to jump on a plane and I'm going to go home and spend it at home with my family for a week before I get back into it. So yeah, short answer, don't really do too much, just because we're so busy.
Yes.
But when I do get an extended amount of time during the season, I usually go home for a week and see the fam.
Amazing. What was one piece of advice you received that you initially ignored, but later realized that was absolutely right?
Honestly, there's nothing that jumps out right now. Sorry, that's a bit boring for you.
That's okay. That's okay. I mean, that means you're a good listener.
I really can't think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. For sure. I mean, going back to like Nina Vucinic when he said like don't retire, like that really that kind of stuck with me, and it's true. I've actually used it with some of my players as well. When they've spoken to me about I'm not sure how long I want to play, and I said, like, it's cool, like, if you want to stop playing, but what is your plan? Make sure you have a plan in terms of what you want to do after this, because if you don't, then you should probably keep playing and work on that plan while you've got an income and you can still support your family and things like that. So yeah, I've definitely used that advice that I received more than once, that's for sure.
Right. What would you be doing if you're not doing anything basketball related?
Man, honestly, I really don't know. Like, my wife kind of laughed at me, when I retired from playing back in 2011 and, went back and was coaching the Hawks, and I didn't really know how this coaching thing was going to pan out. And I started talking to her about like going to police college or something like that. And like, she looked at me and laughed. She was like, "That is not you." Like, she just couldn't see me, and she's right. Like, and that's by no means a mark against the profession. It's a mark against myself and my own personality. It's basketball literally has been my life for so long, and without it, honestly, it kind of scares me a little bit. It's when it's a part of who you are and what you've done for so long. The thought of being without it, it is a little bit scary. But it's one of those things that I have to be kind of mentally prepared for, because as a coach, it's not exactly the most secure job in the world either. So, you never know. They say there's 2 types of coaches. There's the one that have just been fired and those that are waiting to be fired. So it's
That's so true. That is so true. Yeah. Sad but true, but it's incredible though. You definitely have better work stories than the police constables.
I don't know. They would have some pretty cool stories too, I imagine.
I somehow doubt it with you going to Olympics and all of that, and you coaching in Japan. Yeah, it's no comparison.
Yeah, like I said before, like I can't complain. Like very fortunate, very lucky for sure.
Yeah. So knowing what you know now, what advice would you give your 14-year-old self?
Take better care of your body. The way that today's athletes, really take care, like maintain their engine, I guess, their body, the care of the health, the diet, the sleep, the attention to strength and conditioning. Like, I never did any of it, and was, paid a price in terms of how long I was able to play and how it impacted me playing as well, like with injuries and things like that. So yeah, that would be the biggest one, really. And then 14-year-old self, like I went over and did a 1 year in junior college in the States. If I could go back and do it again, I would try and really finish the, do a 4-year stint, get a degree, have that experience under my belt in terms of playing in the States for 4 years. I think, I think it would have been, I think it would have been a lot of fun.
Definitely. That's amazing. What is something that you deeply grateful for, but never really expressed?
Grateful for my wife, and how she has basically held down our house the whole time we've been together. And we've been together for, I think, 18 years now. And the way that she has encouraged and allowed me to do what I love, while holding down the house and the kids and the animals and, doing all those things, that's so important in terms of the future for our kids. Extremely grateful for her and what she's done. 100%.
Amazing. Well, behind every great man, there's always a great lady behind it.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. Amazing. We got a few questions from our last guest.
I would say I just ask what your why is.
Good one. Honestly, my why has kind of evolved over the last few years, but a big part of my why is, to be able to provide for my family, and create opportunities for my kids, especially, and my wife to be able to experience some things that we were never able to experience as kids. But also a big part of my why is like, I'm just a competitor, and like I could be doing anything. We could be playing chess or playing cards or playing backyard cricket. Like I have like this fire to try and win. But the thing that I've really fallen in love with since becoming a coach is like the journey to try and figure out how to win is really, really difficult. And, you get it right every now and then if you're lucky, in terms of like being able to win and win a championship and do the whole thing. Really hard to do. And so, a little bit addicted to that as well.
Who's your toughest matchup that they've had to play against?
My toughest matchup? Man, so many. One guy that sticks out in particular is Shane Heal.
Okay.
With the Australian national team, like this dude was just an absolute stud and played with the most confidence of anyone I've ever come across. Like I've played against NBA players, and of course they're tough. And played against this guy they used to call La Bamba for the Spanish national team, Navarro. Running around after him, played against Baron Davis at the 2002 World Champs, like playing against Steve Nash, running around, chasing him, pick and roll, run out the other side. Like just this dude just constantly just didn't stop moving. But the one that's is like Shane Heal, like he could just make shots from everywhere. You could be right in his face, and he had this like really high release from behind his head, so he was able to get his shot off like whenever he wanted, and he was just really good, and he pissed me off. It was like New Zealand against Australia. It was like, you really want to beat him, but this guy was tough, man, really tough.
Oh, incredible. The next question, I don't know why, but for us Kiwis, is always the free food. Like you mentioned how you were in the Olympic Village and you got the free food vending machine and all of that. So the next question is,
what's your favorite pregame meal?
Pregame meal. Jeez. I mean, now that I'm coaching, I really don't care.
Right.
It could be anything.
Right.
But when I was playing, like the old faithful for me would just be like some sort of chicken fettuccine type thing. Like, like that for me, that would be good. But as I got older, I stopped paying so much attention to it, because you figure out that like all the nutrition stuff is done in the days leading up. All the work has already been done. Like, it's important to eat well, but on game day, you kind of like, I just started mixing it up. I'd go to a cafe with my wife and have a feed there, or make a sandwich at home, or have some baked beans and eggs on toast. Don't know. We just mix it up.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now it's your turn to ask a question for our next guest. I bet that's going to lead to a lot of cool stories. That's for sure.
Yeah,
that's amazing. But your story is incredible, though. That's especially when sharing with your son with that experience. So it's amazing. Have you got any question for me?
Yeah. Man, how long you been doing this?
Since I moved to America about 2021. I think as soon as I moved, I just wanted to do something different to what I was doing. Shout out to Ken Capisi though. So I was helping him to do a program called the Hoops and Life. So I came up with the idea saying that there's nobody in New Zealand covering anything college basketball or NBA. Why don't we start doing something like that? He took that idea, and then also shout out to Dylan Belcher. Dylan was co-signer that helped us to get credentials to go into NBA games, which is really cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that was when I first started. So I was pitching idea about interviewing players. The first player I interviewed was Dan Fotu and Taylor Melton. So all the Kiwi kids at the St. Mary's. So because I'm only like an hour away drive from them. So when I do my research, it was like, okay, these are all the Kiwis in the college I want to go interview. And then so it become a little segment of the Hoops and Life show at the time. The NBA, obviously, as a organization, they want something in return. So the deal at the time was that in the hope of us paying money for the TV rights for broadcasting in New Zealand, that's a huge amount of money. It doesn't really make any financial sense for any company that does that in New Zealand. So they had to really cut us off after 1 year. And I was able to pivot, still in the kind of like NBA space right now. Just got a new job as NBA digital correspondent as well, which I'm really excited about. I think I answered it way too longer than I should anyways.
No, that's all right. That was really interesting for sure.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, Paul, thank you so much for your time. And again, it's an honor to have you on our podcast. We had Dylan Belcher, we had Phil Jone, but I was super excited to have you on. My guys. Absolutely. And you guys just have wealth of knowledge, especially you as a coach as well. I guess last thing I want to say is arigatou gozaimasu. どういたしまして。日本語上手。